It's hard because we don't always see the fruits. We don't always get payback in this world. The payback, my dear friends, is awaiting you in grand style in the next world. I want to share with you a story, Rosh Hashanah. It's not an Hatzalah story. You know all the Hatzalah stories, and I don't need to say more than B'didi Haviyuvda. I lived Hatzalah, taking every member of my family here, my parents, to the hospital, saving lives that I saw firsthand. People sometimes wonder, when is the Eibishter going to give all the bracha to the people who sacrifice their family time, their shalom bayis time, and they stop everything they're doing to go out and save a life, or sometimes it's not even saving a life, it's because a person called Hatzalah, maybe they shouldn't have had to call Hatzalah. But if they felt they needed Hatzalah, Hatzalah is there always, 24/7, 365 days. And even when you don't get the yishkayas that you so richly deserve, and you're not getting the financial compensation, sometimes you don't even get the pat on the back. But you must know that the schar is there and it awaits you. This past summer, I was called up in Camp Simcha to speak at the end of the summer at Kiryas Joel Public School. I said, yes, how can I help you? They said, can you deliver Rabbi Feiner the keynote session at the orientation? I said, tell me, what's the audience like? Well, it's going to be about 450 different members. It's really run by Satmar Hasidim at Kiryas Joel, Monroe. And it's mostly Samach Hasidim, about 80% are Hasidim, but about 10% are modern Orthodox Jews, and 10% are Goyim, because it's a composition, interesting smorgasbord of the Hasidim, but the therapists and the Seats, and all the occupational therapists and the physical therapists, and all the nurse, everyone, all the staff, they're all going to be there. So Rabbi, 10% are Goyim, you can't use any Yeshivish Sprach, you can't say anything Yeshivish, forget the Hebrew. And you got to speak, everything's got to be in English. And and by the way, we should tell you, Rabbi Feiner, no Torah, okay? Because, it's 10%, modern people, we don't know the Maggid, and 10% they're Goyim. So how long do you want me to speak for? 3 seconds? No, 45 minutes. I said, are you kidding? I said, maybe call somebody else. I said, I'm a Torah guy. I said, I'm not a story guy. I'll say a few stories and disperse it, but people know me. All right, that's it. Yeah, sometimes I'll talk really fast. Sometimes I'll even make up my makamis. I know people, if you talk fast enough, they're not going to check me up on it, right? So you can make everything up. They always tell me in the shul, Rabbi, if you would daven as fast as you speak and you would speak as slowly as you daven, then we'd be in really good shape. So here they said, you know what, Rabbi, no different. I said, you want me to speak for 45 minutes, all in English, no Hebrew. Well, if you accidentally use it, you have to translate, and no different. I said, I can't do that. I'm not going 45 minutes out. Well, you could say a Torah-related idea, and you'll just water it down, you'll dilute it, you'll put it into English. I said, okay, we'll manage to do it. I went through, I got some good stories, some good chizuk, some good jokes. That's it. You got your Dale Carnegie there, Anthony Robbins, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You put it all together. Okay, we had a nice smorgasbord. We had a great time. Of course, after I walked down the podium, 2 Samar Hasidim got me as I was going out of the room. They said, Rabbi Feiner, and that English, it sounded good. We didn't understand a word that you said. But it looked geschmack. It looked very Labour. We have no idea what you were talking about. And the modern Orthodox Jew said, Rabbi, I like that. That was good. Okay, you got a different crowd. I'm walking out to my car. And one of the vice principals of Kiryas Joel Public School for children with special needs, he's walking me out to the car and he's got tears in his eyes. And of course, I shared my personal story with our son, some other stories, and he says, oh, funny, you can't leave Kiryas Joel until I share with you the following true story. I said, okay. I'm always envious of a Pesach Krom and Young Brzezinski, right? Yechiel said they always get the great stories. I gave them a couple of good ones. But they always get, for some reason, they're always on airplanes sitting next to great people who tell them great stories. And I'm always sitting next to the most boring people in the world, except for my wife. My wife's the best. She's the best. See, I'm talking about the other side. So he said about this story, this story was mine. I shared it with a few of them. It'll be in a book. It wasn't in any book yet. It says I'm going to tell you the story about one of our teachers. It says we had a girl a couple of years back. Her name was Miriam. She was hands down the single most difficult girl in the entire school. A lot of special needs, learning disabilities, you name it. She would come to class, 7 years old, second grade teacher. And this little girl would bite her teacher, would throw chalk and erasers, would kick, would scratch, would throw things all class long at her second grade teacher. Let's call the second grade teacher Morah. Morah gave this girl Miriam endless love, care, concern, and devotion day in and day out. And she would come home and her husband would say, "What in the world did they do? Black and blue marks, Spanish blood, scratch marks all over her body and her face." And her husband would question her every single hour, "What's going on?" I says, "Well, it's a student of mine, that's it." And she would still go in every single day and give this girl love, devotion, attention like you cannot believe. Day in and day out. She would give her hugs, give her kisses. She got absolutely nothing at all in return except for pain and blood-producing scratches and bites. Time passed. Miriam went on to the next grade, and then she got sick. And unfortunately, at a young age, Miriam passed away from the world. Her teacher, Morah, came to the Levaya, said her goodbye, and Miriam went to her unbelievable place in Olithik Gan Eden Shammai. About a year later, Morah wasn't feeling well, goes to the doctor. Turns out she's diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. She's taken to Sloan Kettering, and they're working on her chemotherapy, radiation, you name it. They're working diligently, incessantly, day after day. The weeks go on, it's just not doing the trick. She's not turning the corner. And finally, after sheer exhaustion, she's on her bed one day in Sloan Kettering. And she overhears the doctors, the residents, they're gathered by the foot of the bed and they're discussing, "You know what? We've tried everything already. We've done the chemo, the radiation, and we've tried the experimental drugs. That's it. It's time to just give up. Let's send her home to her husband and her young children. Let's just put her on hospice, palliative care. That's it. Let her at least live pain-free." The remaining few weeks, maybe months, that she has in this world. And she remembered Morah hearing this discussion taking place by the doctors and the residents at her footside, and she wanted to scream and say, "No, don't give up. I'm a young woman. I have a husband. I have children. I have to walk them down to the chuppah. I have to be at the bar mitzvahs and the bar mitzvahs. Don't you dare ever give up on me." And she wanted to scream. She wanted to jump out of bed, grab onto the doctors and say, "Give me more chemo. Give me more radiation. Don't you dare let me die." And she had absolutely no koach, not a word escaped her precious lips. And she tried again, tried sitting up in bed, pleading, "Please, please," and tried to move. She was totally wiped out. And she kept exerting herself, nachmal, until she fell into a deep sleep out of all those attempts. She falls into a deep sleep. And this is what the Morah told over to one of the vice principals of her school, Kiryas Public School. She says, "I felt the malach come down, and malach took my neshama up, and we kept ascending higher and higher. I don't know if where he dropped me off was the Gan Eden, but I can tell you that there's nothing in our vernacular I cannot describe the most blissful, sublime experience I ever had in my entire life. I can't tell you where I was dropped off. It was some beautiful place, a beauty way above and beyond description. The sounds, the music, the fragrance, the aroma, the spiritual ambiance, there are just no words. And it wasn't even the Spitz Gan Eden. The Malach told me, "This is where you're going to wait for now." And all of a sudden I'm walking around in this garden. I never felt so good. I was free of pain, legal. I'm walking around, I'm strolling in this garden, enjoying the fragrance. It was a 4D sensory experience like I've never ever experienced before in my life. And I'm walking around, I'm in the greatest mood imaginable, and all of a sudden I hear a voice that says, Morah. And I'm thinking, wait a second, I recognize that voice. And I look into the distance and I see a girl, and all of a sudden she starts running towards me. And I see it's little Miriam. And all of a sudden the memories flood my brain. And I start remembering all the bites and all the scratches and all the kicks and all the punches and all the things I were throwing my way. And I start running. And little Miriam is catching up to me. And I say, Miriam, stay away, please. I'm feeling so good, so happy. Don't bite me, don't scratch me. And Miriam's catching up to me. And finally Miriam grabs hold of my hand and says, Miriam, please, don't bite, don't scratch. And Miriam holds my hand with two hands and says, Morah, Sarah, I wasn't well back then. I was a sick little girl, mentally, physically, emotionally. Morah, Sarah, I didn't know what I was doing. But now we're in the next world. And now I'm healthy as can be. I have all of my kaiches. And I heard that Morah, Sarah came to a stopping place, one of the tachanot, one of the drop-off stations on her way to the Olam HaEmes, and I said, what's going on? Why did I hear Me'achorei HaPargo about the Morah Sarah? And I inquired, and they told me that Morah Sarah was dying of cancer. And then her time was almost up, and she was going to come up to the Olam HaEmes, the Gan Eden. And I said, what? My Morah Sarah? All the chesed that she did for me. And I went in front of the basement, Shalai, the Morah Sarah. And all the while she's caressing and soothing my head and saying, Morah Sarah, I bit you, I scratched you, I hit you, I gave you so much admas nefesh, and you never stopped doing chesed shalames, no sense of reciprocity whatsoever. You didn't get anything back in return for me, except for pain and blood. And I said in front of Beis Din Shamayla, Hashem, you got to pay her back for all that chesed. And I pleaded and I argued on your behalf. And my dear beloved Morah Sarah, I won't. You're not going to die now. As a curse atone for all the chesed you did for me, I pleaded on your behalf by Beis Din Shamayla. And they listened to me, and they said, yes, chesed shalemes like that. Okay, little Miriam, we're going to listen to you. And Morah Sarah, it's time to go back down. And you're going to be okay. At that moment, the Malach came, picked her up. She said a goodbye to little Miriam. She felt the Malach pick her neshama up from that guy. Take her back down. They traveled, they flew, descended back down to that room. And Sloan Kettering Hospital. And all of a sudden, she opens up her eyes and she started regaining some of her strength. And it took a little while. The days went on. The weeks went. The doctors were blown away. They were astounded. How in the world is she recovering? All of a sudden, the chemo's working, the radiation's working. And a few weeks go by, she's regaining her strength. She's walking around the hospital. And a short time after that, she goes home. And today, he says, when I find her, I know this Morah Sarah. She is healthy. She's in remission. And she is a healthy, wonderful, special mother and wife and teacher. Because you will always get repaid for that chesed shalemes. People wonder, okay, Matam Timer, Gewaldig. Timer is it, yes. And what would we be, what would the world be without tefillah, without avodah? But Avram Avinu understood the guiding force in life has to be Ma'u Avatu. And if the Eibusher started creating his world with chesed, and it was a chesed shlemus because we can't give God anything. We can give him nachas ruach, but there's nothing we can do. Hashem doesn't need anything from us. Ki amarti olam chesed yiboneh. Who demonstrates that today? I'll tell you who demonstrates it today. Every single chosh v'heilig and neshama that's sitting here tonight. Because you know that whatever you're doing in life, every single part of your life gets put on hold. When it comes time to do chesed shalemes, and not every call is going to be saving someone's life, and you're going to get that seat book here in this world, and not every time you're going to be treated well, getting a shekayach, getting that curse told that every single person here so richly deserves. But I can tell you what, just like in the story, you can't be masik, you can't begin to imagine the schar that awaits each and every one of you. And sometimes Eibusher is storing every hatzolah call, every act of chesed. He's putting it away and he's waiting to say, what someone in your family, Rahman al-Islam, might need it one day, maybe in 10 years, and 20 years, and 30 years. Maybe to marry off your children. Maybe to give you a better parnosa. And maybe to give you that apartment in Eretz Yisrael. Maybe to give you the nachas. Or for shleima when it's needed. But every single tefillah never goes unanswered. And every single act of chesed, you bet, likewise, will absolutely go answered, and it'll go answered in the right time. And sometimes your chesed will come back to save a life. Because you live your life saving the lives of others. And if the chesed doesn't come back in this world, you can bet it's absolutely going to come back. The kifle can fly in the dalad v'hei and the next world in more ways than you could ever begin to imagine.